Good morning, everybody. Happy August 1st to you. A new era dawns on YouTube with big changes on the way things are done, particularly YouTube Hangouts. But today, I'm going to cross the bridge on Hangouts and live streaming. I've been doing some work. As you'll notice, the channel's been realigned here in terms of art. In terms of photographs, change is good. It's not something when you get older, you tend to dislike change in a lot of forms. You like to get set into a routine, and it was very, I don't want to say it was traumatic. It was very, I don't even know the word to say, to just say it was, I don't know, challenging to reform. It's going to be challenging to reformat things, especially having been at this and having fun for 6.5 years. But as I say, I'm grateful for YouTube for the platform that they provide. The free cost to us using it. They don't charge anything to upload, store videos, categorize videos, put videos in search engines. They do a lot of things for no money at all, and I'm very grateful for that. But as promised a couple days ago, I took time to reflect on my 10,443 mile journey over 47 days about what things worked and what things didn't work. And you might find it helpful if you're going to be a traveler around the United States, and particularly if you're going to go over to a foreign country like Canada. I can't speak for Mexico, but I can certainly share some of my experiences of what worked and didn't work on my journey. First thing, I want to get to the things that worked. And this is going to be kind of a long video today, but the main thing that worked well for me was boondocking. In the course of this journey, and I'm going to break out finances in another future video, what all the expenses are, and we'll be able to see them on a pie chart, I hope. But what really worked, the main thing was boondocking worked fantastically. And of course, boondocking is parking in generally public places without benefit of hookups and without having to pay for things like RV parks, not having to go out to the countryside to boondock. Hey, I'm an urban boondocker. I'm an urban van dweller. I enjoy being around cities, but you have to be able to park comfortably. You have to be assured you have to have some degree of certainty that you're not going to be bothered or harassed, or that you're not really being that intrusive onto public places. But boondocking with Little Rascal 2, the 2016 Dodge ProMaster City, it worked fantastically. I don't think anybody ever looked at that van on a parking lot, whether it was a Walmart or on a residential street, no matter where I was, looked at that van and could ever imagine that somebody would be habitating or living in that van. That was the first real thing that worked really well. Its size, its stealth, it did not matter that it had California plates, and believe me, the further east you go, it's a real rarity. People would come, oh, you've come a long way on your journey. You pop into a parking spot and nobody really cares. So the boondocking worked great. The bed configuration I had was fantastic. I've always contended that if you're going to be a boondocker, one of your biggest challenges is going to be having a comfortable night's sleep. And when I went to extraordinary lengths to put a lot of comfort into that, into particularly the bed, because to me, if you get a good night's sleep, everything else is doable in your adventures. So I had built my platform. You'll see the videos of 2 years ago when I acquired the van, constructed a raised platform. I had plenty of understorage. I was able to carry tools, so many things that I needed on the journey. And the raised platform gave me the equivalent of a queen-size bed. Even though I didn't build it out to the walls, it was still plenty comfortable. I had gym mats on it, then a yoga mats on top of that, then a pillow top. I had a layer of foam, and a pillow top mattress cover on it. Man, that worked fantastically. It was the rare night I did not sleep well. And generally, if I get 4 to 5 hours of sleep at night, I'm doing good. So that was very happy. Communications, Verizon Wireless was brilliant on the trip. There's the good and the bad. I'll get to the bad later. But the Verizon, it hardly mattered whether I was in the furthest, remotest reaches of Wyoming, climbing mountains in Utah, rolling across Nebraska, Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore, Buffalo, wherever I went. That unlimited data for the equivalent of $90 a month served me super, super well. There was never a time I felt like my data was constrained. I always had excellent signal. I never had any problem doing Hangouts. Pretty amazing when you figure the volume. I think the trip totaled something like 120 videos. I've now created a playlist that you can see on the channel, the Great Lakes Tour 2019. So hats off to Verizon for absolutely outstanding service. Had I done that on T-Mobile, which I used to have, I doubt I would have had, I might have had one half of the carry that I had with Verizon. Verizon was absolutely brilliant. No hotels, the money I saved on that. Once I left Omaha, Nebraska, there were really no more hotels that I was staying at. And saving that money, something on the order of $5,000 over those 41 days that I was in the van, the savings had to be adding up on that, okay? Because when you put in taxes and local occupancy taxes, it can be a lot. So I consider that a real blessing, not having to pay the hotels. That was something that worked real well. Meeting people. You know, people were knowing where I was. They were knowing where I was coming to, and it was easy for me. And it was also a great surprise sometimes to have people show up and stream snipe me on the stream. So keeping things real time to me was great. You know, yes, there's risks of real time. When IRC bully came up on me in the van in the parking lot in Milwaukee in a real sketch neighborhood, I had no idea who the guy was, and I really thought the guy was going to say, "Move over in your seat, we're going to take a ride." And at that point, I had to just wonder what's Elvis going to do standing about 50 feet away just watching it in the shade. It was a real disconcerting moment. But I have to tell you, the meeting people aspect really outweighed it all, and it was fantastic. Hygiene and cleanliness is another important thing, and that worked brilliantly on the trip too. Planet Fitness, there's over 1,000 locations in the United States. Even if it's not your home base one, in my home base one is in Buffalo, New York. I tried to sign up in Toronto, but because of the credit card issues and other things, I had to wait till I got to Amherst, New York, and Buffalo. Signed up there. Before that time, I had been coming in as a guest on Marshall's Planet Fitness. And when I got my own Planet Fitness card in Buffalo, $22 a month. I mean, do the math. Getting cleaned up every single day. If you're not at your home Planet Fitness, you can go 10 times to a Planet Fitness. And then if you're in a city like Chicago or Detroit, they're everywhere around. You can just go from one to the other if you use up that time. The showers were clean for the most part. Some of them were a little rough in the upkeep of them, but overall, being able to get that shower every day, and sometimes on 2 or 3 occasions I had to go 2 days between showers, but it was outstanding in every way, shape, and form. GPS, thank you Google. Being able to lay out a route to go into a city and just punch into an address is fantastic. And I don't take that for granted. When I started, as a young adult many, many years ago, it was all about Rand McNally, map books being open. I never had to crack the map book one single time. And I thank Google for having such a great GPS service. The real-time videos you know, when I would come back from my journey, when Missy Jen and I went on a 7,636-mile journey in February, March of 2017, I had to come home and I had a monster job of editing and putting up videos. Now that I'm able to do everything on my phone, all my editing, all the uploading, to be able to do the daily hangouts, to be able to do the cinematic videos that people enjoy, all in the phone, was such a great thing. I only opened my laptop one time on the whole journey, and even though my phone screen got smashed in Detroit, that Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus never let me down. It was fantastic. So the real-time videos were, it was a real monkey off my back to be able to put that stuff up real time. Let's see, lastly and most importantly on what worked well was having Missy Jen at home. As some of you may or may not know, unfortunately I lost my whole set of keys in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and there was no way with the limited sales and limited service network and the limited number of people that could open a van with a RAM key and deal with an ignition key that's made by Fiat. I mean, it was very, very frustrating to me. But having Missy Jen at home, and I called her that evening at about 10:30, that when I got settled and got the van towed off to where, you know, to Alpine Gulch's place. Called Missy Jen, she answered the phone, and she said, yeah, I got the key. And I said, honey, just drop that in the Federal Express, and that was brilliant. That happened on a Wednesday night. By Friday at 1 o'clock on the afternoon, I was on the road again. Thank goodness for Missy Jen and her ability and her being at home happily was a great thing, and it really bailed me out. My own dealer here, I have to wait till August 20th to get that key made. When I called Cowboy Dodge in Cheyenne, they estimated it was 7 to 10 days before they had checked. And I think I would have been in a real pickle and had to fly home and then come back later and drive the van home. Okay, let's get to what didn't work now. What didn't work was my poor assumption about international communications. I called Verizon Wireless beforehand and I asked them about data, voice, text data over in Canada. They're like, hey, no problem at all. Everything's going to work well. Okay, send me that in writing. They sent me a Gmail with attachments, 13 pages. I didn't look it over that much. They sounded so confident on the phone. I roll into Canada. My cell service immediately rolls over to Rogers Communications, and a welcome note says to me, you have a half a gigabyte of high-speed data per day. I tear through a half a gigabyte when I'm rolling over in the morning and just getting up. You know, I have over 5 terabytes of videos up on YouTube. I crank out a lot of content. That hamstrung me for the week that I was in Toronto, and I was pretty livid about things and called them. Well, they said you had to look at the contract. Yeah, you have your data, but you only have half a gig of high-speed data a day. So be sure, if you're a YouTube content creator and you depend on uploading, let's be realistic. You better understand that what you're really after is high-speed 4G LTE data. Okay, so that was a real bummer that I wasn't able to go live in Canada. Climate control. Many nights I suffered in that van, at least for the first 2 hours, trying to get to sleep. Best I could do was just strip naked and lay on top of the, hang my privacy curtains up, put the curtain down in the back, and just lay there and hope I was able to sleep. Some nights it was 88 degrees and 70% humidity. It was really very trying conditions to me. So, I certainly hoped many times that I had benefit of at least a fan. And in the latter part of being in Chicago, I was able to procure a fan, and that just made it bearable to get over at least 2 miserable nights. But the weather was hot and humid. We had, heat warnings when I would get up. I showed some on YouTube. So climate control was something that definitely needs to be addressed. The last thing sounds inconsequential, but even though you're driving across country, you're dealing with time zone changes. And as I moved progressively east, I got the feeling that my days were getting shorter and shorter and shorter. The more I drove, it seemed like I just got up and would be on the road and the day was gone. And I'm finding myself up at 1 and 2 a.m. in the morning working, trying to get up videos. Of course, I was going into earlier time zones, so, you know, that took a little bit of getting adjustment to. But apart from those three factors, and that's all I can really say for things that didn't work well. That's a lot of things that worked well. The van performed magnificently over every mountain range in the highest heat, coming down over the Sierras into 110-degree Central Valley heat. That thing just chugged along. That needle temperature indicator, analog needle, never varied off of the center post. And I mean, I drove this thing hard over multiple mountain ranges, the Sierras, the Wasatch Mountains, the Rocky Mountains. I mean, I really put this thing through its paces. Never missed a beat. Performed brilliantly. I could not be more satisfied. Anyway, a good long one this morning. Thank you so much for watching what worked and what didn't on my 10,443 mile epic 47-day journey, what I'm calling the Great Lakes Tour 2019. Hey, your comments are welcome below. If you have any suggestions, put them down in the comment box. Leave a nice comment and make sure to give a thumbs up. And let me tell you, I really appreciated having all of you on the channel for that epic journey. More adventures to come. Thanks, everybody.